So we're here with Dave Weary of Acton and in our Difference Maker series, and thank you for meeting with me today. So we just have some basic questions about you and your time here in Acton, how long you've lived here, and the different things you've been involved with, in addition to the Friends of Acton Park, if there's other things. And then if you could tell us about your radio show too. So Thank you.
Sure.
So take it away.
Well, my wife and I moved to Acton in 1986, October of 86.
Okay.
And I had grown up in Newhall, and when I graduated from college, I just felt Newhall was too busy for me, so we wanted to move a little further out and fell in love with Acton, and we've been here ever since.
Wow.
Yeah, so, but yeah, enjoy it. It's a beautiful place.
So you've seen some growth here, I'm sure, in just these years, right?
Yeah, lots of growth, but I still feel like we're like this island insulated from Palmdale and Santa Clarita. And, you know, it's a unique place for that, in that respect, because, you know, the kids can grow up like kids, and versus, you know, having to drive kids because it's unsafe. You know, kids can walk to friends' house and things like that, although the walking distance might be a little bit long.
And yeah, depending on where you are at. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I got involved when my boys were old enough to be in Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts.
Okay.
I got involved with the Cub Scouts. I was the Cub Master for quite a few years.
Okay.
And enjoyed doing that. And at some point, my friend suggested that I might be a good candidate for the town council.
Okay.
And so I was on the town council for 6 years and president for 5. And I think we had a good run at that time. We didn't have too many major issues ahead of us. We had, at one point, they wanted to bring in a new supermarket in town here, and that was one of the things that we fought for. And then we also worked for the Santa Clara River project and trying to, you know, keep it from being channeled in with concrete, you know, shores and stuff like that. I guess that's probably not the best word for it, but yeah. So that, you know, town council was a good thing for me. I wasn't really looking to be on the town council, but I just, you know, at some point I felt like the community's been good to me, so I might as well, you know,
give something. Back.
Yeah, give back, do something for the community.
Was that under Mike Antonovich?
Yeah, Mike.
Okay, those years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and actually, Mike Antonovich was really good to work with. His office was very responsive, and they did, you know, a lot. And he was always available. At least I needed to talk to him on a few occasions, and was able to get his ear.
Okay.
Him
personally, not his rep.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I mean, him personally, and then also Norm Hickling.
Norm, yeah.
Yeah, which was a great guy too. So, you know, I don't know what it is like today. I do know that things have gotten more complicated, and so the town council has had to evolve too,
right,
to address these issues, you know, that they're facing. So
yeah, there's more issues for sure.
More issues, more complicated issues. I think, you know, and so I'm glad I was on the town council when I was.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I guess during my time with Scouts, they were talking about, you know, looking for property for the park.
Okay.
And so being a member of the Cub Scouts, I was considered a stakeholder, so I was involved with that and many other, you know, great people.
Okay. I remember that was the recognition you received in November, I believe, from the Acton Women's Club.
Right.
So you were part of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I felt embarrassed because I felt like, you know, this was more for the friends of the park and not necessarily for those that started
the co-founders. You know? But I think it was for everyone to be recognized. Yeah. So you were also here before the library.
Yes.
And before the new high school.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, when they built the junior high, my 2 oldest kids attended the high school there at the junior high, because that's where they had the facilities for the high school.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a long time ago.
Yeah, so you've seen a lot of just good growth, I would say. Things
Yeah.
needed, yeah.
Things that were, I mean, good for the community, you know, the library, the park, and stuff like that. I was also on the Acton Community Club board
Okay.
for several years as president. And, you know, we, about the time the park was finished, I think I was already done with the town, or the community club.
Okay.
But that was a fun experience too, because I got to meet more people. I mean, some of these people I already knew through my activities, you know, in town council and Cub Scouts, but I got to, you know, meet more people being involved with the community club also, which was a
Okay.
lot of fun. And, you know, it's, to me, making connections is really important, and especially in a small community, because you can work with other people and get things done that way. You know, especially if you know them, you can always, you know, call and ask for opinions or help or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
And different people bring different things to contribute, and resources and things,
exactly.
talents that they have.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's so many people in this community. I mean, it's very diverse in that way. You know, there's people that, you know, are involved politically, contractors. You know, just it's this huge pie of people that can help out, and I worry as we grow that we lose some of that sometimes, because it becomes so big that, you know, it's not a small town anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So,
So tell us about the radio show. Is that a side thing you do for fun, or is that?
yeah. So.
Okay. I mean, I'm
You-
sure it's work.
Yeah, it is always work. But it's something I do enjoy. When I was in college studying architecture, I got involved at the college radio station.
Okay.
And so I was, I did radio for 3 years there. And then after college, I took some courses at UCLA regarding radio, just kind of side things that I can get pulled into different directions all the time. But I enjoyed radio, and so then somebody had a radio station in Simi Valley that I worked for part-time, and then I did about 2 weeks with KPFK, which is a big radio station in Los Angeles. It's a public radio station, and trying to write news. Well, writing news isn't my forte, so that didn't last very long, but that was fine. And then, I don't know, about 15 years ago, I met some friends in Scotland that had a radio station, and at some point, they asked me if I'd like to do a radio show for them.
Wow.
So I put together a program. We reviewed it a few times and kind of refined it, and then I've been doing that for, I think I'm approaching 8.5 years of doing for them in Scotland. And then at some point, I knew that there was these low power radio stations that were coming into effect, and I contacted somebody. They put me in touch with somebody else, and I got involved with this radio station in Santa Clarita that needed help getting on the air. And I had some programming experience and stuff like that, and I have a lot of connections. Here again, connections are important.
Right.
And I was able to find them a transmitter location, and that gave me another avenue for my radio show to get on the air.
Okay.
And my radio show that I do is it's indie alternative music, and it's for non-commercial radio stations, like public radio. These are programs that highlight up-and-coming artists that you're not going to hear on the regular commercial radio stations, because they're too much of a risk for them to throw in their playlist, because the stakes are so high in commercial radio these days. So it's an opportunity for me to help, you know, new young artists get exposed. And there are other radio programs that do similar, but I think mine's unique. It comes from Southern California, and but you know, I have people on the air, the artists from all over the world.
Okay.
And so
That's what I was going to ask you, is who's able to tune in?
yeah,
What
so
areas?
now I'm up to 11 radio stations across the U.S. that carry, and the actually two in Scotland, that carry my show. So we're approaching about 13 radio stations, somewhere in that neighborhood. And many of the stations, you can hear the program via the internet. Some you can't. But we have a show that is in Girdwood, Alaska, outside of, I think it's Fairbanks.
Okay.
And then we have, there was a radio station in Maine that carries my program. There's one in Pennsylvania. We've got one in Oregon. We've got one up in Fraser Park, plus our station in Santa Clarita. And so yeah, all over the place. The two in Scotland. Actually, I guess it's three technically in Scotland that carry my show. But the big news now is the FCC allowed people to apply for new licenses, and so I have talked two groups into applying for licenses. They haven't been approved yet, but they are pending. And as I understand it, they've passed muster on the technical side. So one will be for Acton and in the Antelope Valley, and then the other will be for Santa Clarita Valley.
Okay.
So we're looking forward to being able to provide, I guess, local content for our community.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah. Well, I hope keep your fingers crossed that this works out.
Yeah. And this is something that just is happening now.
Yeah, this is in the process right now. So the FCC allows these windows periodically for people to apply, or nonprofits to apply for these LPFM stations.
Okay.
And I think it was November 6th through the 13th was the opportunity to apply. And so we've applied for two through these two different nonprofits.
Wow.
So we will see what happens.
Yeah. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal, and it's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I thought the radio thing was for fun, but it seems like it's work. What hobbies do you have? Like, what do you like to do? Or do you ski or
Yeah, so I
ride
used to
bikes?
do a lot of skiing.
Okay.
Up until recently, I was doing a lot of running.
Okay.
And
Oh, that's right.
yeah, so I started out, I think when my youngest son was in high school, I started running and moved into a 5K and thought, man, that's a lot of work. And it slowly grew, and I've run, in fact, your newspaper covered or did a story on me in 2013, because I had been to the Boston Marathon when they had the bombing at that time.
Oh, wow.
And so I then went back to Boston in 2015, and that was my last street marathon that I did. And at that point, I was slowly transitioning into doing ultra marathons or ultra trail races.
Okay.
And so I've done those pretty much ever since. Periodically I'll do a street race for a benefit or something like that. But I've done completed two 50-mile races. Those are the longest distance I've ever done.
Wow.
So I've really enjoyed running on the trails, and it's a great group of people that we enjoy getting out on the trails.
Yeah.
So,
but you're not doing as much running now?
Right now I'm busy on another project, so it has kind of taken me away from the running. I have some property here in Acton that I want to build my last house on.
Okay.
And then I think I'll call it quits in California.
Yeah.
It's just it's very difficult, and it's very expensive right now to build.
Yeah. Yes. And it takes a long time for every little thing, it seems. Yeah.
It just takes a long time to get through the building process with the building department, and so that deters a lot of people from wanting to build. And you have a lot of upfront costs when you build versus buying a home that you can just apply for a loan for.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So I'm putting up a fence around my property to protect it and keep, as I start construction, I don't necessarily want people wandering around on the property.
Right.
For safety reasons.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know what more to tell you about my life.
Well, that's a lot right there. I mean, in 15 minutes, that's like
Yeah.
a lifetime.
I'm
of
very
stuff.
busy. It's, you know, it just,
So your work was architecting, building,
Yeah.
and that's what you did, and then you continue to do that for fun.
Yeah.
And then the radio is
Yeah.
work to me. That's
Yeah.
work. But it's fun.
yeah, and that's, I think the key is if you're doing something you enjoy, it's not really work anymore. I mean, my wife, she worked for the county as a nurse, and she retired, and when she retired, she was done.
Right.
For me, I feel like I have so many more things on my list that I want to do that I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's the difference, you know,
Yeah.
because it gives me something to get up for in the morning and want to go do. You know, as things will slow down as far as my project a little bit, then I can go back into the running, which I really enjoy doing.
Right.
But, you know, for me, I found after doing architecture for other people for so many years, I really kind of enjoyed creating something on paper, but then fulfilling that dream and goal by actually physically building it. And you know, there are people that can build faster than I can, but it takes away from the fun in me for creating and actually physically building it.
Yeah.
So, you know, at my age, a lot of people are going, I'm done. I want to just, you know, go on vacation and see the world. I still like doing that, but I still like, you know, you can't do that every day.
Right.
So, to me, you know, still doing what I enjoy is I don't know, it's hard to explain. But,
Yeah. Well, that's good advice right there, because I was going to ask you what
Yeah.
with the parting reflection, but that's a really good piece of advice right there.
yeah. And
Do what you like to do and keep on doing it, and
Yeah.
be busy.
And I've always had this kind of curious mind. So, you know, if something breaks, I'll take it apart to see if I can find out what's wrong with it, you know. And
Yeah.
I figure, hey, it's just my time, you know, and of course, to me, time is important, but learning something also is very important. So if I take something apart and it breaks, and I might discover or not discover what broke or whatever, it just, that's my curious mind that's always going.
Yes. And if you can fix it, better still.
That's even better. Yeah, I just saved myself some money.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
and that has occurred on a few times. You know.
Well,
But
that's neat.
I don't think I'm any different or special than most people. But I mean, we all want to enjoy life. I think I've just been able to find what makes me happy.
Right.
You know, so
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for meeting with
Yeah.
us.
I appreciate it.
That
Yeah, thank you.
was very nice.